Jarod Hector is back. We have trades to discuss. One of my favorite times of the year on the NBA calendar. Right? I'm sad that the season's over and all that shit. Yeah, that's cool. But but as somebody who's generally enthusiastic about basketball and actual basketball in between the lines, the trade season is just different. Jarod, I wanna hit you with this first because we're gonna start with Kevin Durant, but I wanna screen share or to play with the screen share today a little bit. Look at
Love
this.
it, love it.
Look at this headline.
I mean, first off, be always a pleasure to be on with you.
For people on the audio side who listen to this on the audio feed, Ted Cruz praises Rockets after reported trade for Kevin Durant.
I mean,
You know who this is from. You know who this is from, by the way.
I mean, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm not even gonna. First, always a pleasure, B. By the way, that music hits, kind of slaps when you're about to come in. So I like that. Kudos to whoever the music is.
Yeah.
And as far as Ted Cruz, I mean, like, whatever. Like, we live in such an unserious world, and like, it's just like, what even is this? If that is not the most clickbaity, rage baitiest thing to put out there to be red meat for a certain kind of person, I don't know what is. Like, guys, the game is very obvious, and they make it very clear what they're doing. You don't need to give any of it oxygen or whatever if you don't want to. If you choose to, it's because deep down, even if you're complaining on the surface, you secretly like it. That's why you're engaging in it. So I'm not even going to touch that situation. But let's get into the meat of this Kevin Durant deal.
Yeah, let's do it. Kevin Durant, one of your favorite players ever, and I think I don't know where he is in terms of my favorite player list, but he's high up. I mean, how could you not? I do wish his career played out a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm. We can get into that too.
Yeah, for various reasons, but because I feel like we might have gotten like the weirdest version of his career.
That's an excellent way you put it, Bryan. The weirdest version. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I don't want to say worse, but like the weirdest for sure. But regardless, I mean, he's on yet another team, and this one totally understandable. And this is an interesting deal. We see it here, NBA press release, 15-time All-Star. Kevin Durant goes to the Rockets. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, a 2025 first-round pick, number 10 overall, which is the best draft asset it looks like they could have gotten. We call draft picks assets.
Correct. Not players. Correct.
Not people. Also 5 second-round picks.
Yeah. Listen, I'm so from a trade perspective, the Suns, you're never going to get back equal value for a player like Kevin. That's just not a thing, right? Because there's no equal value out there,
especially at this age.
Yeah. Right? And with the cap, the money he makes and how he impacts your cap, which we'll get to. Jalen Green, for a lot of basketball heads out there, he is the kind of player that casuals and quote unquote real hoopers tend to like, because he's exciting and he does all the things that makes the part of your brain fire, right? All of the things that make us all fall in love with basketball. We loved it from when we were small. Jalen Green ticks all of those boxes. It remains to be seen whether or not he can be a player who actually contributes to winning. Now, he is young. Was he 22? So we have time to see if he'll actually get there. Dylan Brooks is who he is, a very good defender who, in a good season, as he had this past year, will shoot 40% from three. The number 10 draft pick this year in a deep draft, that's very good. And I'm going to catch myself. I hate using words like deep draft. There is talent everywhere. It is on you as an organization and your talent identifiers and your development to find someone, identify them, and turn them into a player. So whatever pick you have in this draft, there's talent there. It's on you as an organization. Will you develop that person into their fullest potential? And then the 5 future second-round picks, it remains the same. Now, on the Houston Rockets side, I like it for them, Bryan, because, yes, they gave up Jalen and they gave up those draft assets, but they didn't give up Amen Thompson. They did not give up Jabari Smith Jr. They did not give up Tari Eason. They did not give up Cam Whitmore, right? They did not give up Reed Shepard. None of those young guys, none of those young players who if you're watching what Oklahoma City and Indiana just did in the NBA Finals, you realize if we are going to compete in this now new NBA, it ain't about 3 dudes. I better be going 9, 10 deep if I have a shot at playing with the pace and relentlessness that Indiana and OKC play out on both sides of the ball. And so I like this for Houston because they didn't give up any of these young guys. And by the time you have to pay Amen the money we think he's going to make, Durant likely won't be on your team anymore.
Or he'll be on the short-term version of whatever's left on his contract.
Correct.
Because we do anticipate that there will be an extension.
Some kind of extension. And, the problem with it
2 years, probably.
With the CBA, B, is that it's designed to pay players when they're no longer worth the money, that right? Durant should have been making this money year 5 and 6 in Oklahoma City, right? Not now, right? Because he was severely underpaid then, right? Like, this is how these contracts work. LeBron, KD, Steph, all these elite guys, they get paid less when they're at their best, and they get paid too much late in their career where they are now, right? And it messes up your cap and it eats up too much salary. But it is what it is. I think you're right. 2 years. That way, again, you're not stuck into some 4 or 5 year situation. And Houston seems smart that they're not going to do that. What they seem to be doing to me, Bryan, is saying, okay, we're not giving up any of our young guys, but we know in the playoffs last year, we had so much trouble generating half-court offense. We were ass at that. Literally hot garbage. But we have maybe the best scorer of his generation, or one of the greatest scorers in the history of basketball, right? Who we know can get us a bucket when we need one. That's very valuable come the playoffs. And they're betting on the fact that, okay, I don't think if they just stop right here, Bryan, and make no more moves, I don't think Houston's saying we're trying to win a title this year. I think they're saying this makes us a little bit better for the postseason. And if a bunch of things break in a certain way, we could find ourselves in a conference finals. And when you get to a conference finals, who knows what happens from there? Assuming they make no more deals. Now, I think they probably will, but that's what I'm assuming.
I think they probably will too. And we'll actually get to some contract details now because this matters. And this isn't one of those examples necessarily, although it could be in the case of Dillon Brooks. But oftentimes in the NBA, you trade contracts more than you trade actual players. Like the intention is to move money around. That's all the case. So with this now, you have Kevin Durant. It's funny to think that he signed this extension Nets.
Yeah, it's an extension. Yeah.
Finish it out 2 teams later, but he signed this extension with the Nets. This is the last year of it, coming up $54.7 million. He is eligible for an extension for a couple of years. We'll see if that gets agreed upon anytime soon. I anticipate that it will. Ime Udoka, by the way, coached Kevin Durant in Brooklyn, as did Royal Ivy.
Yep.
I keep bringing Royal Ivy's name up.
It's one of KD's best friends.
We can talk about this more off. But yeah, Royal Ivy is also on that staff in Houston, and he's going to stay there, it appears. So Kevin Durant's on this contract. Let's pivot over to Jalen Green now, because he got his rookie extension that's about to kick in. $33 million, $36 million, player option for $36 million. It seemed like a lot at the time. It still kind of does, especially when you watch the playoffs, but he is very young. I don't think he and Devin Booker are going to work. It's like, I've just come out with it.
Probably not.
But I do think you can turn Jalen Green into something if that's the intention. If I'm Devin Booker, I'm looking around like, I kind of want to go somewhere else. But Devin Booker doesn't seem to want to do that right now. So that doesn't appear to be on the table. But this is Jalen Green's contract. And there is poison pill restriction until July 1st. He won't get traded again that soon. Yeah. But there's a player option.
Well, no, so the trade won't be official until July 6th, right? Because they have to wait for all that to clear, so it doesn't count on this year's cap. It counts next year. So it counts on next year's cap. So we're working with the $33 million. Otherwise the money wouldn't work out. So this is why it's agreed in principle and not actually going to become official. That's a great point, because the league year doesn't start until July 1st. Correct.
Free agency starts June 30th. And then you have over here Dillon Brooks' contract. This is an interesting one. $21 million descending, under 20, just under 20, like barely under 20 next season, as in the 26-27 season. So short term. And also, I know he pisses people off,
but he's a good player. He's a good player.
He's a winning player too, in my opinion. He's a winning player. So looking at Houston's just overall cap sheet, this is what it is, beginning when the new league year. arrives. You still have the Fred VanVleet club option.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what they're going to do there. I think they're going to accept it and then either try to move him or just keep him around. He makes.
I think they're going to keep him. My guess is they're going to try to restructure that deal a little bit, see if he'll come in and take a little bit less than going forward if they extend him. Because what's he making? 44 this year? Is that what it says?
44.9 roughly.
Yeah. Fred's a very good player, but that is a lot for a non-all-star. Right? That is and a 31-year-old non-all-star at that. Who, and everybody who knows me knows this, how I feel about very small players, right? Who is small. Like that's a lot of money, a lot. It just is, right? I mean, we see it, right? Like, how do you win in this league? If you need length, but if you're gonna be small, you better be Andrew fucking Nembhard or like you got to be one of these kinds of dudes because
Fred VanVleet's one of those types of dudes.
Yes,
to be fair, So from a defensive standpoint, I know the shooting can be hot and cold, but with Kevin Durant, I mean, he's there to solve some of those problems. I think Fred VanVleet makes a lot of sense with Kevin Durant because he can be on the ball, he can be off the ball, he can defend the point of attack. I think he still makes a ton of sense. I wonder if I think they'll take the club option. I think there's a world where they could also, and I have to check this. I think you could decline it and then just sign him to a different contract, to sign him to a different deal.
Yeah, I think so. I have to check the CBA, but I think
look, bird rights.
I believe they do. They should have it now. What's interesting here to me, Brian, is so much of what is going to happen for the Rockets during. It's not about, like, I hate using this term, the Kevin Durant era, but whatever, because he's the biggest name on that club. That's what people are going to do. And we'll talk about his career in a minute. Is going to be what the acceleration curve and the growth curve looks like for Amen Thompson. Because this past season, Brian, we saw it basically do a straight line up, right? And if he does something similar again this coming season, I mean, what did Jalen Green, who we talked about before, say about Amen? If that dude gets a consistent jump shot, it's a wrap, right? And
all-star every year.
Because it is. Because you cannot stay in front of him. He is a defensive demon, an absolute nightmare, an athletic, not a freak, a super freak athletically. And KD loves young guys. I can already assure you, Amen's got his number. Someone's like, bro, let me just come work out and shoot with you. Like, and K's the kind of guy who's going to be like, yeah, man, here's what I do, right? And I'm not saying he's going to all of a sudden turn into a Kevin Durant level shooter. But, Brian, if that dude's jumper becomes something that teams have to respect, now we got problems. Now you got lots of problems.
And I think it might have to because, all right, let's say they don't make another big move. Your starting five would probably be, and let's say you're keeping Fred VanVleet, which I think they are, but we'll see. Fred VanVleet, Amen at the two.
At the two.
Jabari, KD, Şengün.
And Şengün.
That's probably how I would do it. And
that's just very good starting five. Very good.
Like the spacing could be a little clunky if Fred VanVleet in particular has one of his like 2 for 10 nights from three. So I think that's where Amen's 3-point shot is going to be important. Yes. I get the sense he's working on that right now.
I mean, I would hope you like. The thing about that, look. It's not just working on your game, right? Giannis works on his game all the time, works on shooting. He still sucks at it, right? There is something that my podcast partner, David Thorpe, calls you have to have shooting talent. Brian, you know this. When you were growing up in school, there were kids who would ball up pieces of paper or whatever and would hit that shit no matter. There were some people who were just really gifted at throwing things into other things. They just have the talent for shooting. They're really good at it. So you have to have shooting talent. And then you have to have the work ethic to get good. I don't know yet if Amen has shooting talent. Let me pull up. What's his free throw percentage numbers like?
I will. You know what? Let's do that right now.
Because that'll give me a little bit of an indicator.
Let's look at some Amen Thompson numbers. I'll pull them up on the screen so we can sort of track good old basketball reference. Okay, Amen Thompson for free throw, drum roll, 68%.
That's not great.
For 2 seasons. So there's a body of work there. The exact same 68.4. Not on terribly high volume, but 68.4. Let's actually widen this a little bit so you can see the...
not great, but that doesn't mean that can improve. So my guess is, I
don't think he was a great shooter in the overtime shit.
No, he was not
either. So
if I'm the Houston Rockets, I'm employing the best shooting coach I can find. I mean, too bad Chip England's on payroll with the Thunder, so you ain't getting that guy. But I'm getting the next best shooting coach I could find. And I'm saying, hey, man, let's work on the thing, because you need to draw people out to you, because once they have to come out, we know they can't stay in front of you. You're going to blow right by them, right? If they have to, and then that makes space, which now means Şengün can cook, Fred can cook. I mean, Katie don't need a whole lot of space, but then he can cook, right? Like, so it gives you a lot of, and Jabari Smith Jr., who can shoot, he can cook, right? That's what you want.
I think with Amen Thompson, because he has everything else, like you just feel better about him and his development. I do hope the jump shot comes around though, because then, I mean, it to be honest, it might be unfair if the jump shot comes around, because
life is unfair.
Yeah,
right? Like that's how it works. Like
he's so good already.
LeBron's unfair, Steph's unfair, KD's unfair, all these elite, everybody's unfair. It's just that's how it works.
This is sort of the key for me too. 14, 8, and 4, fantasy monster, by the way. He gets all defense already. Well deserved. He will be a defensive player of the year candidate, if not a straight up defensive player of the year before his career ends, assuming health. The playoffs, he was the best player offensively for them in that series.
Sure was.
He shot 49%. He was actually like creating, getting to spots from the mid-range area, getting into the lane against a good Golden State team. Not a team that had like a rim protector necessarily, but you know, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, like a team that you have to respect defensively ultimately. Amen Thompson shows some things there, despite not being able to shoot threes. And even in this series, he was 25%. I think he made one three in the series, but 1 or 2 threes in the series. Can actually pull this up right here.
Total, like 1 or 2 threes total in the entire series.
He was 1 for 4.
There you go.
That's it. But at the same time, it was still like, there's something to be said for you not being able to shoot 3, everyone knowing it, and still being able to get yours. And he averaged 16 a game in that series. So encouraging signs all around. I don't have much for the Phoenix side of this. I'm going back to just Jalen Green's deal and just looking at it. I mean, you know,
he's someone you can move.
Yeah, you get the number 10 overall pick. I think that's the key. I expect that to be Derek Queen. If Malawach falls that far, which I doubt, Kaman Malawach, I could see that too. The reporting has been, and even I've heard this, that Phoenix wants a center. And they didn't get one in this deal because, well, the teams that were involved didn't want to put up their center. The Heat weren't offering Ware. The Rockets weren't offering Şengün. The Clippers, who were...
Or Adams.
Or Adams. The Clippers, who I got the sense was... it felt like they were more interested than maybe it was reported, but they ultimately didn't want to put Zubac in the deal. I felt like if they did, they probably would have had Kevin Durant. But probably. Why would you do Norman Powell and Zubac, for example?
Right. You're weakening your team. See, Houston didn't have to weaken its team because essentially, right, you're replacing Jalen Green with KD, right? And even at this advanced stage, KD is a better player, right? Still, even at this advanced age, so you'll get basically higher scoring on better efficiency, right? I mean, and better defense, even at this advanced age, right? So I think all the pieces fit for Houston. With your Phoenix, what you mentioned, I do wonder about Book. Book is in his prime right now. Does he look around and say, okay, you want me to play with Jalen Green and a rookie and think we're going to do what exactly?
And Bradley Beal.
Oh, shit, I forgot about Brad. And Brad, which I said in our chat, this deal will look better once they get off that god-awful Bradley Beal deal, which, by the way, Bradley will not be exercising his no trade option. I mean, he will exercise it in that he's not moving anywhere. He will be in Phoenix until that deal ends. And by the way, he has a player option for the last year, which he will 1,000% be opting into.
We are here. And people are talking about, if they could buy him out and save money. And it's like, I don't know if Bradley Beal's the type of dude to give back a dime if you try to make him uncomfortable.
Not. Nope.
If you try to make him he seems like the type of dude who is like, look, you can do what you want. I'm getting my money.
1,000%. And by the way, he has every right to get that. His agent, you don't see no trade clauses anymore for this exact reason. He was able to get that in his deal, and he's going to use it to its full capacity. And by the way, kudos to him.
The whole reason the Heat didn't want to trade for him was the no trade clause. They said if you waive the no trade, like if you get rid of it,
Right.
basically, like yeah, we'll do the deal. And they
He's like,
said
hell no.
no, and then
That's his leverage. Listen, as a player, that is the only leverage. Brad seems to value stability
yeah,
because of his family and his young kids. They want to be places for a considerable amount of time. He was in Washington. He's been on 2 teams, Washington and Phoenix, right?
yeah.
Like that's his thing. It's like, I am not moving every 2 years, right? Like that. That's not. Nope.
Look, I understand the principle. Like it's tough. It's tough having. I'm on short notice too. Like Anthony Simons has to look at condos in Lawrence, Massachusetts now. You know what I'm saying?
No
like,
doubt.
Maybe
No
not
doubt.
Lawrence, but
Well,
like
downtown Boston or something. But
you
like,
know, he might be downtown Boston. You know, Jrue Holiday all of a sudden has to maybe go to Portland. Maybe he gets rerouted. That deal still confuses me. We're actually going to get to that in a couple seconds. But we'll just wrap on Phoenix real quick with the salary cap table because you pointed this out, Jarod. I wanted to throw this up there. Bradley Beal's player option is $57 million next year.
Mm-hmm.
This upcoming year is still 53.6.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Booker's got 53, 57, and 61 coming to him for the next 3 years. He is 29. He will be 30, I think, next year.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Green, we already mentioned. Dylan Brooks, we already mentioned. They still have a long-term commitment to Grayson Allen.
They're probably going to move Allen. Look, this is probably not shadow.
Royce O'Neal too, I think, is a guy that is a candidate.
This is going to be rebuild time, but they're trying to sell it as, look, we're going to be great with Jalen Green and some young guy.
Ishbia doesn't want to rebuild. Like it'll have to be by force, but Ishbia does not.
He doesn't want one, but he's going to do it by like not doing it. What I mean is going to sell the fan base on, are you excited about Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and Bradley Beal? And they're going to be like, fuck no, motherfucker. And Brad's going to be like, not Brad. Devin's going to be behind the scenes because he's not going to want the Phoenix fans to get upset. He's going to be like, look, man, you got to move me. Here's a list of teams I'm willing to go to. Make a trade happen. And then they'll be like, blockbuster traded now. Devin Booker going to blah, blah, blah for all these return of draft capital. Then you rebuild around Green if you think he's good enough, whoever the number 10 pick is, and all those the draft capital. And then you have one more year of Bradley Beal expiring to deal with. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, it feels like Devin Booker, if you had to bet on it, like he would be to me maybe the next guy.
Like, why would he want to stay with this? What are you going to do with Beal, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and a number 10 pick? Nothing. You're not making the playoffs. That's not a playoff team. You are not making the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, hard to disagree. I ultimately think with Devin Booker, like, bro, you've given Phoenix everything they deserve and more.
You've given them plenty. You don't owe them shit.
You don't owe them anything, and that organization is just kind of a train wreck. Okay.
Oh, I wanted to let's do the KD thing real quick.
Yeah. Actually,
so people who know me and follow know, like, yes, I'm a KD guy. That's my dude. I will die on that hill, and I'll tell people a million times till Sunday why he's so elite. Now, I love the point that you brought up that it is the weirdest version of his career because I believe you are right on that. Because for the magnitude of player that he is, what I think the fan collective consciousness is, you see one, maybe 2 teams tops in his entire career, right? And you see sort of more of the, okay, where does he has a statue outside of this one, right? All those, because that's the kind of caliber of player he is. But he is now on what? This is now team number 5?
OKC, Golden State, Brooklyn,
Phoenix, and this is now team 5, right? Mm-hmm. But I will point out that I don't know how many other players can say this, but he has been an all-star and all-NBA at every stop he has been at, right? Multiple stops. Now we're going to potentially a 5th where he will do the same. I don't know how many players in NBA history have been an all-star and all-NBA selection on more than 2 teams. We have a chance now for 5, right? So my point is that it's not like he's going these places and he's shitty at these places. He's still very good at these places. And I think, he, as I've said numerous times before, he has a wandering spirit, right? He is a searcher. What he is searching for, I have no fucking idea.
And it might change because I think for human beings, what we search for often changes. I would say like my goals year to year are not always the same. I definitely have things that carry over to some extent because like they're like professionally based. And it's like your professional goals are evolving also all the time. And whatever it is, I think also, Jarod, there's something to be said for, like, I think you can hold against him that, yes, he's the reason he's been on 5 different teams ultimately,
You
or at least most of
could.
them, if you wanted to. Like, you can make that argument. I would also say, to some degree at least, it's a testament to how malleable he is as a player and how he can complement every single basketball player possible. Like, there are certain dudes like Shaq can't play with. Stylistically, I'm talking about, not even personality wise, just stylistically. You can't pair Shaq with whatever. Like, there's not a single, I can't even think of an NBA player KD wouldn't make sense with. Like, if you put him out there with Sean Bradley, there's a world where that works. He can figure it out. He can play with Spud Webb. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, he can play with anybody because of how tall he is, how he can score, how he can defend. He can play also, like, legitimately play all 5 positions, at least from an offensive standpoint. There was a time he can guard 3+ positions at a really good level. You would want him not to have to do that now.
Right. Of course not. Too old now.
And in Houston, he won't have to, which is great. Like, that's
what I love about this Houston deal is because he's surrounded by good defensive players, like which I like, right?
Really good,
right? I really like that.
It's
for him.
junior OKC in some ways,
in many ways. So I like that. Look, again, I think KD will be that player that once he retires, 10 to 15 years post, everyone will retrospect and be like, damn, we didn't realize that dude was fucking legit.
Maybe 5. I don't think it'll take that long in the social media
and it's
era.
because of the things that he does that don't fit the archetype that we, and when I say we, not me, but we, the collective, we as fans, expect. And right, he's doing something completely different. And I think for him, it's always part of the searching is always for this basketball nirvana. And I don't know what that is for him in his head, but there is some version of basketball nirvana he's constantly searching for. And there is a piece that I would love the deep retrospective on. He's not tethered and moored to family and like a partner, children, whatever, right? Again, I'm not saying you need those things to be fulfilled, like, because I don't have kids and I'm perfectly fine, right? So like it's not about that, but he doesn't have that thing that moors him into, oh, I have to think about these other factors as well. It's just, man, where am I going to go hoop, right? Everybody jokes about when he's in the club, he's doing fake shots. Like, I always joke that he gets up before he even fucking brushes his teeth. He's probably fucking fake pumping his socks into the fucking hamper and shit. Like, that's all this dude does is fucking hoop. Literally, it's all he cares about 24/7 is basketball.
Yeah, we could put a ball on the KD thing there, but I do think, by the way, this further legitimizes Houston for me. I think they can get to like a conference finals appearance. I think should be the goal at the very least.
They need some things to break right. They need injury luck for sure, which means they need KD not to be injured, and they need other teams to potentially get injured too, right? Like,
I think they have enough. And they showed this last year. I think they have enough to carry them through the regular season, even if Kevin Durant plays like 42 games. I don't know what seed they will be, but I think they could avoid the play-in. I guess is the bar.
Sneaky stat: last 2 seasons, Kevin Durant played 75 and 62 games, so he's been surprisingly durable the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, and we'll see if that holds up. Because look, 37, year 19, like I don't think he'll play 78 games this year.
No.
But the key is he needs to be healthy for the playoffs.
But
and which is becoming increasingly more difficult. I'm going to post a clip today of a conversation I had on here yesterday, regards to, again, injuries in the NBA. We can do a show on that. For
Bryan, you got to have the Indiana and OKC model. Why were those teams in the NBA finals? Besides being good, the number 1 reason, or number 2 reason of being elite is the first reason. Second reason is those 2 teams, better than all other teams in the playoffs, delivered their best players to the most important part of the season, which is the playoffs, the healthiest. Period. End of discussion. That's why they are where they are.
Let's hit trade number 2. Okay, we have the Celtics trading Jrue Holiday for Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks.
Nice haul for Jrue.
Yeah, I have thoughts in this trade, Jarod. Let's pull it up. Here we go from Shams Charania, ESPN. We have 2 second-round picks going not to Portland for taking on the Jrue Holiday contract, but along with the young player at Anthony Simons. I'm perplexed at this for the Portland side. For Boston,
Yeah.
Boston's saving money here on top of that because Anthony Simons, we will get into the contracts now, actually. Anthony Simons, because Spotrac, thank you for having it ready as you do so professionally. 27.6 million for Anthony Simons, roughly, expiring this year. So Boston will have to pay him if they're even going to keep him, because I think there's a world where Boston just reroutes him entirely.
Or they say, play for your contract. Let's see, my guy. Prove it.
And then potentially sign him later or trade him in February if Boston's having a season that goes left, be it because of injuries or just play or whatever.
They won't have Tatum until when? At a minimum, April? Probably.
I was just ambitiously March,
that's he's Achilles, right?
In May.
That's less than a year for it.
That's the thing. It's like it's March, April at best, but likely I would expect him to return the following season.
Look, Tatum can do what he wants, Celtics can do what they want. If it were me, I'm sitting him this entire next season, and we come back the following season. But
and this is why everyone is available for trade on this team.
Oh, correct.
Now, listen, you have to pay a lot for Jaylen Brown,
White, hell of a lot,
and Derek White especially.
Oh my God,
because and I say Derek White especially not because he's better than Jaylen Brown, although I think some of NBA nerd corners will make that argument.
It isn't that he's better; it's that
he's more malleable and look here. Yes. A lot cheaper. And 28.1 million this coming year.
For the money he makes relative to how he impacts winning, he is a better value. And this is the thing that fans need to understand. That's what matters when you are constructing a team, because you are hamstrung by a salary cap. If there's no salary cap, then who gives a shit? Get the fucking 10 best players in the world. But you can't do that, right? So you have to be like, where can I get value? And for the money he makes, he contributes to winning at such a high level.
Which is why I think Portland also did this, because they're like, we don't want to pay Simons, because they probably recognize, like other teams like the Miami Heat should recognize, that you don't overpay your one-way scoring guard who is a target in the playoffs.
Oh, no.
From a defensive standpoint.
But teams do that shit all the time. All the time.
But we will see what they do. But more of these types of guys are potentially getting traded, it appears. Okay. Jaylen Brown, 53, 57, 61, and 65 left million each year. Derek White, 21, 30, 36, and then a player option for 34.8. 34.8. And by that time he'll be in his mid-30s, so maybe, yeah. Unless at that point he could get like 2 for 60 or something like that, then whatever. If he wants long-term security. But the point is, you win in the NBA by having depth. One, obviously you have to have like 2 stars, but you need to win around the margins. Winning around the margins means winning with value. And this is why Peyton Pritchard has one of the best contracts in the NBA at 7.2 million.
Ton of value.
He's paid like a rookie, essentially. They'll try to get off Sam Hauser, is my guess. And when they won the title, Jarod, I was like, yo, Wick is trying to sell because, one, you can get a shit ton of money, and 2, you can't keep this team together. So
they're expensive, and you're into that, right? Like, so the new ownership group is like, wait a minute, we don't have our best player for especially a whole season, and I'm in the second apron. Oh, hell no, right? Like, it's like, I just bought this team, which means I've already outlaid a certain amount of cash. Nah, fam, not doing that again.
Do you think we'll get to Jrue in a second, because I have questions, but Anthony Simons in Boston.
Yeah.
Anthony Simons, Jaylen Brown, I guess for now, Horford and Porzingis, but both of those guys might possibly. I don't even know what the hell is going to happen there. I'm assuming Pritchard's back, but we'll see. Boston's still going to shake shit up. Like, this is not going to be their roster, but Anthony Simons in Boston, if he stays, I don't want to spend too much time on this because there's a world where he legitimately doesn't, but if he stays, are we going to get the best version of him? Because I kind of think because they can shoot more threes, but they can they can hide him defensively more.
I was just gonna say that. Yes. If you assume they're keeping him and not doing anything else, you can hide him defensively because he will be around elite defenders and White and Brown and Horford and all that. And that offense will bring out the best in him. And maybe that could be the key to bring his value up. And then at the trade deadline, it's like, hey, who wants Anthony Simons? He's averaging whatever. He was a fringe all-star this year, like whatever nonsense they do, right? Like, it's possible. That's the key. Either way, if I am other GMs around the league, I am calling Boston in that, hey, who's available? Right? Like, because I'm going to guess just about everybody is up for grabs on this team.
Let's hit Portland. I don't get this. So they're
I don't
trading
think Jrue staying there. I don't think.
2 seconds, 2 second-round picks with Simons to not pay Simons and to take in Jrue Holiday, who is making $32 million this year. I actually have to pull up the actual yearly tab, but he's getting about 34 roughly, and then 37 after that. He's 35 now. He just turned 35 this month. And I saw some stuff on Twitter like, oh, this is a young team trading for its veteran.
To do what?
And it's like, I don't think it's that. I think they'll try to reroute him too, because what is Jrue Holiday doing in Portland? I think Portland could be a play-in team next year. I like some of the young guys that they have on the roster. Not DeAndre Ayton, but I like Scoot Henderson's showing some signs of life. Shaedon Sharpe, I think, will be, beneficially, like he will benefit without having Anthony Simons there. I don't know what that's going to look like. And he has a contract extension question that you have to address. Is he a long-term piece? They'll try to find out. We'll see what Klingon can give you in year 2. We'll see what Chris Murray can give you going forward. And also, this is my guy right here, Toumani Camara.
Oh, he's a really good player.
A sneaky guy that they got in one of those trades that they made a couple years ago when he was a rookie. And he's good. He's legitimate. But Jrue Holiday here, like they're gonna get something for Jeremy Grant. I think. I don't think it'll be as much.
And Jrue coming off a year where he was injured, a good deal.
He looks cooked.
And
he looked cooked after the Heat Bucks series in 2023, where Jimmy Butler was saying mother effing him all over, like up and down the court, while scoring on him the entire series. And then he gets traded to Boston and is in the perfect situation for him to give like a good season. And they win a championship. And now it just looks like back to where it was, and maybe even worse, before that championship, that second championship for him.
Yeah, I think it's Portland realizing Simons is not a guy that we want to pay long term. Jrue, I think, is going to get rerouted. I mean, they've been talking about the Jeremy Grant situation forever. When do they get off that deal? I mean, because he's 31 and he doesn't fit your timeline with, if you think Scoot, Klingon, Toumani Camara, right? These guys are going to be your future.
Denny Advija, who I forget, and
who's a very good player, right?
Like descending, one of the better contracts in the league.
And look, say what you want about Ayton, but he's a big who's got skills. Like so I just look. I'm going to give Portland some more wait and see. But this roster, okay, you add Jrue. I don't think you're making the plan. I still don't think so.
I don't like it. I don't like giving up 2 seconds to take on this contract. So we'll see. They'll have to do something. They'll get. I think they feel like, hey, we'll get something for Jrue. We'll get something for Grant. Are you going to keep Ayton? That's the big question mark. Also,
the other thing you're looking at is, okay, if we are a team in the Western Conference, our number one competitor is the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have a runway now that looks good for the next 5+ seasons. Easy.
I would say 2 to 3.
Only because of all the draft capital they have. And yes, they have
it's longer. It's just
long.
Because we were doing some math yesterday. And it's like the extensions that Shea and
eventually
Jalen
they
Williams,
can't pay it everybody, but that's why they have all the draft capital. So it's like, oh, hey, sorry, so-and-so, you got to go because Aaron Wiggins, who's a second-round pick, is really good. He's going to take your spot now, and we don't have to pay him that much money because he was a second-round pick, right?
Nikola Topic, I think, is going to be legitimate.
This is their plan, right? We're going to keep picking up these players in the second round that nobody thinks about, run them through our player development program, and turn them into, look, anybody in the NBA could have had Lou Dort, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah, all these fucking people. The whole league could have had them. None of y'all took them and turned them into what they are. Now, that doesn't mean Oklahoma City's perfect and going to hit every single one. They're going to fuck up on ones too, but they give themselves as many bites at the apple. So that's why I think their franchise is long. And remember, Chet Holmgren isn't anywhere near the ceiling of what he's going to be offensively. And Jalen Williams has another leap to make as an offensive player as well. So that's why I think their market is long. So my point is that you got them to worry about. You have the Rockets, I think, to worry about. Like, so you're looking like,
Golden State is, I know they're older, but
I mean, look,
you still have to worry about them for at least one more season, maybe only one more season.
Maybe. I
Minnesota,
think Stephen,
Minnesota have to respect, even though I don't as much as other people do.
I don't know what Memphis is doing. Are they breaking up the whole thing? Like,
I don't think they're breaking up the whole thing.
That'll be interesting to see what they do there.
But I don't know, man. Are they going to say no if somebody called them about John Morant?
Listen, if it were me,
I know you think Jaren Jackson Jr. is their best player right now.
I do. Now, I know a lot of Memphis fans don't like that. They're like, no, it's Josh. I'm like, your best player cannot be someone. Brian, I don't know if I told you this stat. This past season, he did not play 5 consecutive games one time.
He didn't. I don't think he played any back-to-backs, did he? You're 25 years old.
Bro, like, your best player can't not be available. Like, what are we talking about here?
25. He's not Jimmy Butler's age. Like if Jimmy Butler's not going to play back-to-backs or whatever, like Kevin Durant's not going to play back-to-backs.
Fine, whatever. But not this dude. And he still can't shoot.
Here's the thing, and he also, not to turn this into a Memphis thing, but we are done with this part of it. I also wanted to point out the Sixers had Isaiah Joe. Yeah. With John Morant, and then we'll just wrap here. You can't be like this archetype for me just doesn't work if you're the best player on the team right now. You're the hyper athletic guard whose jumper is, let's say, inconsistent to be nice, who doesn't play consistently enough and is a constant injury risk, who gets targeted on defense. Like all the things where it's like, yo, if he's in a playoff series with OKC, by the way, we just saw that.
They hunt him every time.
Like against Houston, it's going to be like the same thing. Like Amen Thompson will want John Morant on a switch. Then what? You know what I mean? Jaren Jackson Jr. could only do so much. And by the way, like he's playing next to Zach Edey, who's not exactly, Allison Felix when it comes to moving his feet fast.
Who, by the way, is had offseason surgery, so I don't even know where he's going to be to start the season next year. Look, man. I'm just saying, if you're Memphis, you got to think long and hard. Again, thinking about the age of your best guys, of Tripp and John, and they're not old, right? They're 25, but who we're chasing is Oklahoma City, Houston. By the way, Wembanyama and the Spurs are coming. Make no mistake about that. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Never mind the Lakers, Denver, Golden State, the Clippers, right? Who still have stars who are elite, right? Like, I just, and this is how quickly fortunes turn, right, in the NBA. This is a team who was 2-3 seasons removed from being back-to-back number 2 seeds. This year in February, they were the 2 seed. And then it all went downhill from there. Listen, guys, this is how the NBA works, man. You gotta.
You have to, look, team building, value on the margins, like all these things matter more than they ever have. Jarod, I wanted to throw this at you before we go. Give me a name. Who's the name that you're watching out for to see if they get traded the most, given that we're talking about trades? And I'm expecting more on draft day. Like that's the one where like at draft day and this in-between period between draft and free agency, I'm expecting more. But who's the name that you're looking out for the most?
Does Philly do the unthinkable? The unthinkable. And move Joel Embiid. Now, I say unthinkable because that's what Philly fans will feel like, because he's your franchise and whatever. However, you have a Tyrese Maxey, a young player who is very, very good. Where are they picking in the draft on Thursday? Top 10, right?
Third.
Okay, third. Look, man, we don't know how many healthy games Joel Embiid has left in that body. We have no one knows. And if anybody tells you they know, they're full of shit and they're lying. But you could get back quite a haul for him on draft day, because some team will convince themselves, shit, we bet on Embiid being healthy this year, and we're going all in right now. Now, that was kind of just my throw it out there being wild, crazy, whatever.
I wonder who's the team.
It only takes one. It only takes one.
Like who?
It only takes one.
Oh, you know what?
Only takes one.
It has to be Phoenix.
Yeah, listen, so you go Book and
No, not Book, not for
no, I'm
Book.
saying Book and B together. That's your new that's your new 1-2.
Yeah, I just had the salary cap table.
Listen,
I think it might have to be like Phoenix.
I just threw him out there because I was like, let's get people fired up. Trade Joel Embiid.
But Beal's not gonna,
Well, see, this is your problem. You have the Beal issue, which is that fucking contract that he will not move.
For me, it's not as exciting of a player, but he's on the same team.
Well, yes. I mean, duh.
It's Paul George because Paul George. Is there a world where they actually package Paul George at number 3? These feel like things Daryl Morey would entertain. I think he would look at Embiid and be like, man,
I love what you're thinking. But
yeah.
You know what the right move would be for Philly? Really, the right move is Maxey and the 3, because I get it. Maxey's your best player in that scenario, but because he is your best player in that scenario, what does that mean? You get everything back in return.
I know.
Literally everything.
Man, I legitimately think Maxey can be a number 1 guy.
I agree. My point is, when do we think that's going to happen? Because I'm going to
think it could happen if Joel Embiid.
That's a big if. If Joel Embiid's healthy.
No. I was going to say if Joel Embiid's hurt, Tyrese Maxey could be then we'll get to see it more often.
But is Maxey and Paul George and whatever enough to do anything in the postseason? No. Is Maxey and whoever this 3rd pick enough to do? No.
I love VJ Edgecombe. I really like Trey Johnson. You would like Trey Johnson.
But them two aren't enough to do anything in this coming season?
Not immediately.
My point being is that Philly is likely not winning the title next year, right? That's a pretty good bet that they're not going to win the title. So if that is in fact the case, just off the top of your head, what do you think you would get back in a Maxey trade?
Oh my goodness.
4 firsts?
More. I think Bane got 4.
You see, swaps.
You can't compare it to. It's not exactly the same, but like, God, man.
And listen, that's all I'm saying.
There's talk about the Heat still don't want to trade everything for Dame or for KD or whatever. I think if it's Maxey, I think they're a team that's like, yo, everything but Bam is on the table. And if you're Philly, granted, they don't have all the picks. That's the thing. A team would have to have all the picks, but OKC is not doing that.
No, because they don't need Maxey.
They don't need to.
Yeah.
Now, Brooklyn, who has space, or a team like Detroit, who wants to be ambitious,
Now, I don't love him with Cade in the backcourt. I don't love it. I don't dislike it. I don't love it. But Cade's what, 6'6"?
Maybe 7.
He's a big guard.
6'6".
Okay.
So it's like if you can put a defensive-minded guy in between them,
that's what you need. Well, you got Asor.
Ron Holland too, by the way. Speaking of dudes that need a jumper, both of them. But man.
Interesting.
So basically, the answer for both of us, everyone watching, the Sixers.
Well, because ultimately, when you have players who are at certain levels and you're not likely to win the title next year, all you're preparing yourself for is to be an expensive team who will now continue to not win titles. So what is the point of being expensive? And you're right. These owners don't want to pay this second $8 million bullshit.
Yeah. No,
they just don't.
It's a great point. And the money matters now more than ever before. Okay, that's Jarod Hector, TrueHoop. Follow him, subscribe, and also, if you're into Real Madrid football, you do a show covering.
I do a show called The Real Deal, a Real Madrid podcast. We are on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Check us out. Real Madrid in the Club World Cup right now. We have a match against Salzburg on Thursday, so there'll be a post game for that. Check us out, man. All you football fans, football.
When's the transfer window begin?
It's open again now, and it will close September 1. Yo, listen, they're talking about possibly bringing your boy Anthony back to the Premier League. So you better hope Betis. Brian is a Real Betis fan who plays in La Liga with Real Madrid. We got to go to a Madrid Betis game.
No, for real. because Astrid already wants to go back to Spain. She's like, yo, once a week, once or twice a week. She's like, fuck, I miss Sevilla.
Listen, once you get your first taste of Europe, it's you will often find yourself being like, when can I go back?
This is
like,
why we went to Montreal first. We were like, we want to get that vibe first before taking the 8-hour flight. And by the way, my 2 favorite trips so far. Granted, I haven't gone on a ton, but still.
I mean, Spain is one of my favorite places on planet Earth. It's just so fun. The food, the culture, just everything, man. The weather. It's a wonderful place. Wonderful place.
We might do Mexico next.
I mean, it's always fun. You hit up some beaches, jungles, do the thing.
Yeah. I might get soccer tickets.
In Mexico?
Yeah.
That shit might be wild.
That's the thing. Now, it wouldn't be Liga MX. It'll be second division because where we're going, there's not a Liga MX team that's close enough. So maybe it's different, but we'll see. We'll see.
Fun stuff, man.
Also has a basketball league. That's Shamori Ponds, I think, won a title.
That's your boy. A little PSA for people out there who can. If you haven't traveled outside of the U.S., I encourage you to do so. I don't know why you haven't. I mean, you might have your financial reasons, whatever, and that's fair. But if you have the means, get your passport and go.
And be careful. Have your ID. Have all your information. Because if you're fearful and not wanting to, I understand. Yeah, and also if you're in New York, go out and vote.
Oh yeah.
Don't rank Cuomo.
Do not rank the sexual predator